Taike and another governmental institution, National Audiovisual Institute. So we will merge on 1st of January 2026, and then our name will be the Finnish Arts and Culture Agency. So what has happened already is that now we have the calls for applications for our government grants for communities. So they have been published under the new name Finnish Arts and Culture Agency. So that has happened already. Applications will be reviewed by our arts councils and expert panels, and decisions will be based on a presentation by a special advisor, like it has been also before. And the Finnish Arts and Culture Agency will decide on the distribution of funding between forms of support and fields of the arts at the start of 2026. So that's about a change in our organization. And what is also new now is that all these grants that are now that you can now apply, that you can apply them all in English. So all the information, all the call for applications and the application forms are in English. Of course, in Finnish and Swedish also. So 3 languages now through the whole system. So here is a list about the grants for communities now, which are you can apply for now, and they are for 2026. And we go through them a little bit more detailed also. So general grants for the arts, general grants for festivals, general grants for cultural magazines and online publications, internationalization grants for the arts, general grants for culture, project grants for culture, and then there is one that is not open at the moment. So project grant for % for art project cannot be applied for now in autumn 2025. So the last one is not open, but the previous ones are now open for applications. And we also have new calls for applications, new names for some grants. So general grants for culture and project grants for culture are kind of combined from previous subsidies. Those subsidies which are discontinued were subsidies for promoting cultural diversity and combating racism, and subsidies for promoting inclusion and cultural well-being, plus also project grants for children's and youth culture. So these 3 are discontinued now as separate calls for applications. But we have those 2 general grants for culture and project grants for culture. And then we have a new one, which is internationalization grants for the arts. So these changes, if you have been familiar with our subsidies and grants before, so you might notice these changes. And now it's the time to apply for grants to be awarded in 2026. And now when we talk about grants for communities, so they are intended for registered legal communities, such as associations, foundations, cooperatives, companies, and municipalities. And all general grants can be applied for to cover a period of 1 and 3 years. So this is all general grants. 1 general grant per applicant. And then there is this restriction that Finnish Arts and Culture Agency cannot award general grants to applicants who have been awarded a general grant or central government transfer from the Ministry of Education and Culture. All this information you can find from the calls for applications. The period of use for project grants varies according to the form of support. And there you should also check the call for applications. They are not all the same periods of use in our project grants. And the application period started at the beginning of October, and it goes on until the 4th of November, and the closing time is 4 p.m. sharp, and it is sharp. You should leave your application before that time. Grant decisions are made each year separately, and grants for communities supported in previous years may be increased, decreased, or not awarded. So that's also important information. And now I go through these different grants, a bit of details about them. So first is general grants for the arts. And this used to be the previous name of this form of support was operational subsidies for specific art forms. So there is also a change in the name, but then it's kind of then what is inside is the same, but the name has changed. These grants support the continuity and development of the operations of art communities. And here you can apply for 1 year and 3-year general grant. And there are different minimum amounts for these. So for 1-year grant, the minimum amount is 20,000 euros, which can be maximum 80% of eligible operational costs. And then in 3-year grant, the minimum amount is 40,000 euros per year, which can be maximum 60% of eligible operational costs. The social objective of general grants for the arts is to support sustainable structures in the arts sector and employ arts professionals. This is kind of the main target, main goal. And then objectives of the call for applications, supporting the structures of the arts sector, employment of arts professionals, availability of the arts, and also promotion of sustainable operations. And we have a change in the art form. So there is new alternative for type of art form, which is multidisciplinary art and operations that combine multiple art forms. So if your operation goes into that, so be aware of this change also. Then we have a different general grant for festivals. And these grants may be awarded to festivals that have been organized regularly at least 3 times. This is important. It has to have a history of 3 years, this festival. Are produced by arts and culture professionals. Are regionally, nationally, or internationally significant. And here also is a possibility for 1 year and 3-year grants with different amounts, like you can see from here. So here the minimum amount of each 1-year grant is 10,000 euros, and the minimum amount of each 3-year grant is 30,000 euros. And here in both, it's maximum 50% of eligible operational costs that the grant from us can be. The social objective here is that the grants are for festivals. That grants for festivals is to promote the regional significance and accessibility of the arts and culture and to support high quality festival programs. And then more objectives: professional implementation of arts and culture festivals, availability and accessibility of the arts and culture, employment of arts professionals, and promotion of sustainable operations. And if the same community applies for a grant to organize several different festivals, a separate application form must be completed for each festival. Then there is a special grant for cultural magazines and online publications, and this is also a general grant. And these grants are intended for cultural magazine published in Finland and online, publications in any language that maintain a diverse social discussion about culture, the arts, science, or different worldviews. These grants can also be awarded to communities that promote the circulation of cultural magazines. And here also 1 year or 3-year general grant, and you can see the minimum amount of euros. Here there are differences in different grants in these euros and also those percentages of eligible operational costs. So be aware of these numbers, these figures when filling up the application form. Objectives of the call for applications in this grant: quality and impact of the cultural magazine or online publication, compliance with journalistic ethics, availability of the cultural magazine or online publication, and again, promotion of sustainable operations. Then this is the kind of new grant, internationalization grants for the arts. And these grants support the reciprocity and long-term strengthening of the international networks of communities. These grants also support the sharing of international expertise and networks with the arts sector, or more broadly, in the operational area of the community. The social objective of internationalization grants for the arts is to strengthen the international impact of communities throughout Finland. These grants focus on areas that are underserved by international funding. And here there is these euros tell us or written are the following. These grants are generally awarded in the form of a project grant of 30,000 to 70,000 euros. So between those numbers, and these are project grants. And we have also said that these grants will be awarded to a maximum of 10 applicants. So there you can count the budget or grant of what size of projects we will fund through this grant. Here the period of use is 3 years, so from 2026 to 2028. Objectives of the call for applications: strengthening and sharing international networks, and promoting the internationalization of arts professionals. And these grants are not awarded to cover basic operations or individual artistic productions. Then again to general grants. This is general grants for culture. And these grants are intended for professional communities whose activities promote cultural and social inclusion, as well as strengthen cultural rights. And again, this is a general grant, so there's a possibility of 1 year or 3-year grants. And the minimum for 1 year in this grant is 20,000 euros, and the minimum amount of each 3-year grant is 40,000 euros per year, and either 80% maximum of eligible operational costs in 1 year grant or 60% maximum of eligible operational costs in 3-year grant. The social objective of general grants for culture is to promote equal access to the arts and culture, as well as cultural and social inclusion. These grants can be awarded for cultural activities to the extent that they fall within the statutory tasks of the Arts Promotion Centre Finland, which will be the Finnish Arts and Culture Agency in January 1st, 2026. Objectives of the call for applications in this grant are promotion of cultural and social inclusion, promotion of cultural diversity, and promotion of sustainable operations. And then we have also project grants for culture. It was general grant, the earlier one, previous one, and this is project grants for culture. And these grants are intended for individual projects implemented by professional communities that promote cultural and social inclusion, as well as strengthen cultural rights. And these grants are also awarded to projects that aim to strengthen cooperation in the cultural sector. And here we have 2 years time or period of using the grant from 2026 to 2027. And here the minimum amount of each awarded grant is 5,000 euros, and that can be maximum 98% of the project's eligible costs. The social objective of project grants for culture is to promote equal access to the arts and culture and cultural inclusion. And again, these grants can be awarded for cultural activities to the extent that they fall within the statutory task of the Arts Promotion Centre Finland. Objectives of the call for applications here: promotion of cultural and social inclusion, promotion of cultural diversity, and accessibility of children's and youth culture. And these grants are not awarded to communities that receive other general grants from the Finnish Arts and Culture Agency. So if we award a general grant for culture, we don't award a project grant as well. Now, here's some information about the applications received and grants awarded, and these are grants for communities from 2022 and until 2025, and you see some difference. There have been also difference in our funding, and that's also a part or one reason for these changes. But here you can see a bit about the numbers and how many applications will get a yes from us and get funds. And something about our decision making. The equal and non-discriminatory treatment of applicants and the amount of funding available are taken into consideration in the processing and review of applications and decision making. And decisions are made in relation to the amount that has been allocated. The Arts Councils and Grant Assessment Panels will provide their expert opinions on the applications. And we will appoint the new grant assessment panels in November 2025. It's either Arts Council or Grant Assessment Panel which is reviewing your application. Grant decisions will be made on the basis of a presentation by a special advisor. And notice that the amount awarded may be smaller than the amount applied for. And here's something about the schedule, important dates. General grants for the arts and general grants for culture. Decisions will be sent by 15th of February 2026. And then other grants for communities. Decisions will be sent by 17th of March 2026. That's the time we need to go through this process. And here about some changes, if you have been applying from us before or know the system earlier. So we have a new apply for grants.fi service. It was already in some grants last fall, but now it's through the our whole repertoire, so to say. So you apply using this apply for grants.fi service, and all the calls for applications can be found under the new Finnish Arts and Culture Agency name. So don't go to look for Arts Promotion Centre Finland, but search for the new name of our organization. And filling in the application, you should fill the application in as completely as possible before they are submitted. Applications can be amended at any time during the application period. So if you notice or remember during the application period that there's something missing in your application or you want to change something, you can do that. You can go to application and change or write more, whatever is missing there. but that's only during the application period. And then if you need to amend your application after the application period, so after November 4th, then you have to contact us. And we may also contact you if your application or its attachments need to be supplemented. And also some terms have changed. So we used to have a name as operational subsidy, and that we call now a general grant. And then we used to have a special subsidy as a name for certain grant, and that is now called project grant. And then if you have applied from us before and you have been using the Suomi.fi mandates as undersign the application for your community, so the same mandates you have used for Taike's previous online services can be used to access this new apply for grants.fi service. And when you log into the service, you should select as organization representative. Links to the calls for applications can also be found on the Taike website. So either you go through there, www.taike.fi, or then you go straight to this system, apply for grants.fi. And this is the landing page, the first page of the apply for grants.fi. And you see from here that this is for all government grant calls. So not only for us or arts and culture or only for Ministry of Education and Culture, but throughout the whole government grant calls. And they are all now in this one place, or will be in one place. And here you should search our new name, Finnish Arts and Culture Agency, from the place which is shown here, and there you can find the open calls. And here a couple of details about what is inside there, so to say. The call for applications consists of 4 parts. There is first part is basic information, which includes the objectives of the call. And then there is criteria for awarding, on what grounds grants can be awarded. Then there is assessment criteria, on what grounds applications are reviewed and compared to others. And additional terms, for example, transferring the grant to a third part, the period of use of the grant, and other possible terms and conditions. So that's the structure of the call for application in this new system. Standard terms and conditions is a new part also of this structure, and what was formerly referred to as terms and restrictions. And this includes the detailed information on the general terms for using the grant. And it is very important to familiarize yourself with these terms before filling in the application form. So you can see already here example of the headlines there in this standard terms and conditions. But take time to read it through. There is all kinds of important information already for you as an applicant. A couple of examples from the application form, which we think that it's good to point out, like this. So there is a question about public description, and that's a description which will be published online at this tutkiavustuksia.fi, which is a place where all the grants applied and awarded through this system, through this whole government system, are published online. So here, when writing here the purpose. The question is what purpose is the grant applied for, and it's said there that it's a public description. So you should think about that this goes to public, whatever you write there, what your purpose is. So that's one thing we want to point out. So that shouldn't be too long to say also, kind of compact purpose. There are places in the form that you can then write more about your project or operations. Then there is another question we want to point out, which is the regional targeting for the use of the grant. And there is also you must select on the form, and you can only select one of those. There are municipality level, there is region level, there is well-being services county level, there is whole of Finland level or international level. And you can select only one. And our info is that you should think about what is the kind of your primary level of operation or your project. If it's only one municipality or couple of municipalities, then you take the first one. But then if it's clearly a region, then the second one. And if it's the whole of Finland is your kind of main operation area, then you take that one. And when you select one from the list, then there opens a list that you can select municipalities, you can select regions, you can select countries in the whole world, and so on. And we have also a question about international, because we want to know about your international activities and cooperation. So there's another question about that also in the application forms. So this is not the only place to tell us that you have international networks and cooperation also. Oops, now I want a moment. Now I went too quickly. Here, checklist. That was the next checklist for you when filling and finishing your application. So read the call for applications and standard terms and conditions carefully. Take time to read it through before you start filling the application form. Check the restrictions for the call for applications in question. Who can apply and for what purpose? Check the minimum amount we award, because you have to apply at least the minimum amount, which is there said in the call for applications for certain grant. Be clear and concise and provide all the information requested in the call for applications. And if you have a project, then explain what, where, and when, and present a clear budget also. So the what, where, and when, and your budget should be kind of how to say, you should be to watch them together and see the similar things in the written plan or in the budget. Check that all mandatory attachments are included with the application. And for communities, the mandatory attachment is there all are the financial statements, which has to be signed for the previous financial period. So if you are a representative of an association, so the board of your association, there must be the names of the board who have signed the financial statements for the previous financial period. Then this is a part of the system, or kind of the order. Their management of the application, sign the application and send the application, and submit your application on time. That's the most important. And please also start to fill in the application, not the last day or not even the second last day. Take time to read first through everything, and then that you have enough time to fill in the form. And the last day is not the best day to start. And the calls for applications, they will close on 4th of November, Thursday at 4 p.m. sharp, and that is sharp. No, it was actually after this one. Sorry, I was checking one that, yeah. Yes, this was after this one. This slide I was checking. So here is the kind of the last page when you have written everything in your application form. So you have to go to this section, which is called management of the application. You have to find this part of the application form, and then you sign it. That's the second thing. And then the third thing is that you have to send it. So after signing, you have to still press the send the application. Signing is not sending. So this is kind of the last page and last operations you need to do, that the application will come to us and can be reviewed. Yep, that was all the slides, or where are the slides? And here is still the one important information that I was already talking about. So this apply for grants.fi is the address where you find the calls for applications, and they are under our new name, Finnish Arts and Culture Agency. And you can always ask questions from our customer service. And here is the address, and you can find, of course, all the contact information from our website. And we have also a newsletter that you can subscribe in, and I think it comes 4 times a year, maybe something like that. And if you subscribe to that newsletter, we will get all the important information from our grants and other things also in time. So that's useful for, I think, most of you. So here were the slides, and I take this off now, and I can see there are some questions already. Laura has answered also. So Laura, can you?
Yeah, actually, I mentioned one thing, but I didn't answer these questions.
Okay.
Maybe we can read them aloud.
Yes.
For the recording as well. There's the first question is that could you please clarify where specifically are the open calls where it will now be possible to apply for the subsidies promoting cultural diversity, anti-racism and community projects, and also inclusion? So where can one apply for those themes?
Yeah. So general grants for culture and project grants for culture are for those themes. And then there's a difference that if you apply for a certain project, then it's a project grant, or you apply for your whole operational costs, then it's a general grant. So those two are for these purposes.
Yes, and the next question also considers this topic. So the question says that our community-based non-profit organization received support through a project about anti-racism. We are a theater and cultural center with both amateur and professional artists and members. Where should we apply for support now?
So if you received from us earlier, if I understand this correctly, so if you still have a project or projects about anti-racism, then the correct place is the project grant for culture. So that's the place for you.
Okay, so next is the question that can one apply for both the general grants for the arts and for the internationalization grant?
Yes, you can. You can apply both.
And one asks, is it possible to get the slides? Unfortunately, no, we don't send these slides to you or publish these, but we will publish this recording on our YouTube channel, so the slides will be shown there as well. And next, is it possible to both directly apply to the internationalization grant and be a partner in a second internationalization grant if the two projects are not connected to one another?
Yes, it is possible. Yes.
Yes. Then I'm working on a program to promote localized and sustainable sharing economies while also networking internationally with individuals, groups, and organizations. Which application would be best suit this project?
Sustainable sharing. You don't mention that what is the part of art and culture in your project. If you employ art professionals, then we are always interested about this kind of project. It's one our main objective in all funding is to employ art and culture professionals. So maybe you should look the project grant for culture and check if the objectives and the assessment criteria goes together with your project. Then it might be. From your question, I can't like directly say that it is that, but check that.
Yes, and also keep in mind that this is these grants are for communities. So if you're applying for working group or for yourself, this is not the place to apply, but for communities also only.
Yes.
Then cultural project grants. May the granted organization give money grants, so give grants to artists or only as salary to artists?
The salary is the first option, of course. To pay proper salaries. That's also one thing we ask in the application forms about the salaries you pay and so on, because we want to follow how you employ the artists and art professionals and what kind of salaries you pay to them. If there's a kind of a different way or route if you would give the money away as grants, but I would highly recommend to pay salaries, proper salaries to artists.
Then for a 3-year grant, how much detail do we need to go in for year 2 and year 3? And where should this be? Budget, activity plan, etc.
Yes, we ask a detailed plan and budget for 2026, and then we asked a plan of operations for 27 and 28. We understand that it can't be that detailed, but we need, of course, plans for whole 3 years, and a detailed budget is for 2026, the coming year. So in these 3-year grants, the decisions are made yearly, so we don't make one decision for 3 years, but you have to apply again. Again, we give you a decision that this is we have kind of we promise you this funding for 3 years, but you have to apply again every year and make an application. So this is the system, but detailed for the first year, and then some plans for the coming years.
We are a residency center based in Helsinki who invite Finland-based and international artists to undertake residencies. So our activities take place primarily in Helsinki, and our artists are from all of Finland and international. Which regional targeting box do we need to select? I guess our main advice is that the applicant needs to choose themselves, but do you want to add something, Hanna?
This is interesting question. Yes, for this this question I was explaining. Yes, the basic answer is that you choose yourself what you answer, but it's a bit of tricky one. Finland-based and international artists, so to undertake residence. Like I said, there is a box for international activities and operations, a separate box, a separate question in the application form. So I think for you should choose either municipality as Helsinki or the whole Finland from the first box, and then you can write in the international question that you also work internationally. So kind of divide this to like two questions, the whole thing. That maybe I would say yes.
Okay, so then our registered association is based in Helsinki, which grant is tailored for operations which combine material science and performing arts.
Material science. Now I must say that I don't get this material science now, but now it depends. If you apply for your whole year operation, then if you should check. I will answer like this. You should check the objectives. Go through the objectives of our grants from the calls for applications. Go through them carefully, because from the objectives and how they kind of match your operation or project. So that would be the way for you to find what would be the best grant for you to apply. Go through them, and if you still have questions, then contact our customer service. I would now advise you like this.
I am producing an international art festival. Our aim is to promote accessibility, diversity, and inclusion in the arts community. Which fund should we apply for, or application should we make? So festival in question.
So if your festival is a new one, then the festival grant is not the right place, because in festival grant you must have 3 years history of your festival. But these objectives go together with the project grant for culture also. So if you have a new festival with these objectives, then it would be the project grant for culture. But then if you have had your festivals more than 3 years, and your primary operation or task is to organize this festival, then it's a festival grant.
And I think I'm going to combine the next two questions. Can unregistered working group apply for project grants for culture? And the another one is that can unregistered working group also apply through a registered organization? So can they apply for project grants for culture, and can they apply through a registered organization?
So unregistered working group can't apply for these grants. So in November we will have the call for project grants for individual artists and working groups. So if you have a working group, you should then apply for the project grant in that call, November call for applications. So not this call for the communities. And The next question, that can unregistered working group also apply to a registered organization? The organization is always the applicant. So if you are kind of not a part of this organization, I might advise you to apply as a working group in the November call, because this of course, if you work very closely with that organization, then it might be a different thing. But for working groups and for individual artists, you can apply project grants in November. Yes.
Then we have a question that, do you have to form an association to apply for funding as a group?
Like I said, you can apply as a working group. Artists working group, you can apply in our November call, which is called project grants for individual artists and working groups. And there you don't need to have an association. You can apply as a working group of individual persons. And now for this October call is too late now to form an association, that's for sure. So if you don't have an association, but you have a project, so then check the November call. That might be then suitable for you. And then there was another question about the slides. So we don't send the slides, but this will be published in our YouTube channel, so you can also go through this again from there. And if you somebody who couldn't join now asks about, so you can tell that you can find it from there also.
Then we have no other questions left. And also, if you have any other questions after this info session, you can always contact our customer service. That's always an option for you, but please be on time, because I can assure you that on the last day, it is quite a traffic on our customer service as well. So be on time if you want to ask something, some info for these grants.
I think the questions were asked and answered. So I thank you for joining this info, and I wish you good applications, or how should I say? When this will be uploaded, Laura, can you say when this will be uploaded?
I think on this week, but after a couple of days, usually it takes a couple of days to upload it there. So maybe this week, I think.
And you still have enough time to start to make the application, but start it now, not to be late. So thank you and have a nice evening.